I grew up playing a lot of video games and watching a lot of movies from China and Japan. And when you watch those kind of things, you notice that there is maybe an influence from Buddhism or Shintoism or Taoism or something, some sort of Eastern religion. So I thought that I would investigate these things a little bit more thoroughly, a little bit more deeply.
Of course, we all have lives. So yes, grew up in America just like every other kid like me in suburbia, upper middle class family. So that's the same. And I was in the Marine Corps, joined, did martial arts my whole life. So Marines, I wanted to be active and stay healthy. I thought it was a way to exercise, and so yeah. But through the martial arts, I discovered some teachers who had other practices.
I feel like a lot of people my age and younger, older, a lot of Americans, we have no idea what this stuff is about. Like when you tell a Japanese person that a lot of Americans think that Buddhists go to church and worship Buddha, like Christians go to church to worship Jesus, they kind of laugh.
Right.
Because Buddhists don't necessarily worship Buddha.
No. When we go to especially in a Zen practice,
right,
we're going to practice. If we say a prayer or chant, we're actually just reciting the teachings. So it's a reminder of what the teachings are, as opposed to worshiping or praying to get something, or even thank you. Although in some ways that's kind of true. But we're not asking to gain something.
Okay.
When we're praying, what we're doing is we're chanting the teachings as it was been chanted.
We think we can become Buddha. Then we don't care who created this world, and we don't care who ruled this world. So we take care about how this world is, then how to make people happy or how to live in good way. So that's a big difference between them.
Is that supposed to change your internal state in some way? Like even just the way you think, nothing metaphysical or anything. Like what's the overall purpose whenever you chant? If you're not asking for something from God or whatever.
Right. So the actual purpose is just to chant.
That's it.
Just to recite the teachings as they've always been recited. Now in each country, how you pronounce that changes. So the Japanese have their own way of pronouncing the teachings as they've been handed through from one country to the next.
Okay.
But the purpose is simply to recite those teachings.
Is that kind of, and forgive me for my lack of knowledge, but is that like the kind of Zen thing where you're just supposed to be there?
Sure, it's just like the sitting. We sit just to sit. We chant just to chant. We eat just to eat. As long as we keep it as one simple thing, we're doing everything within the one thing.
Okay.
But if you divide it into two, we only get two.
Is that simplicity? Is that the point is to be simple, or
I don't know if that's.
I'm already dividing it up.
Yeah, I think so.
At that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's. Anytime we put it into words, we're in trouble.
Okay.
But that's what we're doing, right?
Right.
So what else?
Yeah.
That's the only choice we have. We have to talk about it sometime. Even if I go to the Zendo and I just sit, and then I say, thank you very much, and everybody leaves, that's great.
Right.
We're really doing the practice.
Is that like a Buddhist across the board, maybe not even just Zen Buddhist, is that like a method to be happy?
The original teaching, the idea was to release our suffering.
Right, escaping the cycle of suffering.
Right.
Right?
So, and that's for all Buddhists. So in order to do that, this practice that's already been designed will give us that result. But if we do it for that result, we've already split it.
Okay.
So it's a dichotomy. We have to sit just to sit. If we do it for the result, we've already split it. When we get there, do we have that result? We have the result simply by sitting. Every time I sit, I'm already practicing.
Okay.
So I don't have to practice to practice. I'm already practicing.
Right.
To investigate whether there was a God or not a God, or any of those kinds of things on creation. That wasn't the issue.
Okay.
If we wanted to relieve suffering in this body, in this life, this time, then this is what we need to focus on. So that's one of the things that defines Buddhism separate from the other religions of his day.
In that context, we believe in like Buddhism. We don't care about the origin of the universe, or we don't care of the origin of the human being. We just, get to know. It's kind of realism. It's pretty important for us.
Do you feel like you've personally gotten close to Satori? Enlightenment?
Well, in our particular teaching, every time we behave in an awakened manner, that's an awakened manner that's occurring.
Okay.
So it's not something that you acquire. It's not something that you attain to. It's the way we behave.
Okay.
So there's not so much enlightened people is in our teaching. Suzuki Sensei, Suzuki Roshi, is one of the ones who's most famous for saying it, Shunryu Suzuki. And what he said was, there's not so much enlightened people as enlightened behaviors.
Okay. So that act itself that you're doing is enlightened, but the point is to be an enlightened person.
It's irrelevant whether I'm enlightened or not. What's only thing that matters is how we behave.
Okay.
Do we behave as human beings?
What's the main difference between Zen Buddhism and Buddhism?
Good point. So Buddhism envelopes every sect that came off of Shakyamuni Butsu and a couple others.
Okay.
So Shakyamuni Butsu for us would be the original Buddha.
Siddhartha Gautama.
Right. He's in India and he is studying their shamanistic practices of the day that we now call Hindu, or Hindi, right? And again, that's a modern name. Back then it was just a whole variety of practices, probably called the Dharma, which we also call Buddhism the Dharma. But he determines certain principles and certain practices that are primary, and rejects a few other things that are becoming accepted on the other side of things. So that becomes what we now call Hindu, and his starts to be called Buddhism. The original one for Zen, we talked about earlier, was Jhana Buddhism in India.
Okay.
And according to the Zen teaching, when Shakyamuni Butsu was awakened, he was doing jhana meditation.
Okay.
And it was a natural meditation that he had actually discovered as a boy and rediscovered as an adult that awakened him. It's a very simple meditation. We call it, jhana would be absorption meditation. You are completely absorbed in reality, and reality is completely absorbed in you.
Okay.
Much like if you had a sponge in water. So there are two things, but if you put a little pressure like gravity on the sponge, suddenly it sucks up the water, doesn't it? So is that sponge or is that water?
Both?
Right, that's jhana.
Okay.
That's absorption. The sponge absorbed the water and the water absorbed into the sponge. So that's how Zen wants to be in the world. To think that we're not connected, that's the illusion.
Okay.
If you think we're so separate that we're not connected, it's not that we're not individuals. It's not that the sponge absorbs the water doesn't disappear.
Right.
There's still water in there.
Right. So is this like a person that's not enlightened? It's starting to sound like, not that reality is a lie, but the person's perception of reality might not be exactly right.
It's incomplete.
Incomplete.
Because he's separated things out of it.
Okay. And so this is what...
He thinks the sponge is over there and the water's over there. He doesn't realize that it's all connected, it's all interlinked.
So I don't want to say the point of Zen Buddhism, but this is like a big focus of Zen Buddhism is to start to realize these kind of things.
Zen Buddhism says that we don't have to start to realize these things, that we already know it.
So you come upon the realization.
So all we have to do is behave in this awakened manner every moment of every day, and we are behaving in an awakened manner every moment of every day.
This one is probably the most mysterious. And it's the most, obviously it's the most infused with Japanese culture. What exactly, basically, most basic question, what is Shintoism?
So let's clarify, I'm not Shinto priest.
Okay, for sure.
I'm a Zen priest, but
Okay.
in our particular case I have talked to several Shinto priests, and we talked a little bit about mixed, match, and merged.
Right.
So a lot of this is infused into the Zen training and other Buddhist training that I have.
I've had this conversation so many times with Japanese people, and it's that when you ask a Japanese person, what is Shintoism? They'll say, everything has a kami in it, everything has a god in it. And basically, the explanation stops there. So I'd like to know something more deeply about that type of stuff.
Sure.
If you know, I know you're mainly Buddhist, but...
So the Shinto is, again, they're talking about the spirit of things. Again, 4,000 or 5,000 year old history. It wasn't just Shinto, it wasn't one thing, and this is why it gets confusing and difficult for people to talk about. It was the indigenous practices of Japan. Every area, every group, every clan would have had something a little different.
Okay.
It only became Shinto in contrast to Buddhism, in contrast to the Jukyo, the Confucian Buddhist Taoist group that came.
Oh, so Buddhism
Then they had to call it something.
Okay.
And so it became Shinto. To is the same do, the same.
Right.
So the Shin is for kami, it's the gods. So it's the way of the gods, Shinto. But it's not gods in always, as in the same sense as in the West, but not too far off from the early gods of the West. We had multiple gods, or even
Right.
East India had multiple gods, right? These old ancient shamanistic practices all had this kind of beliefs, right? Where it gets a little confusing again with Japanese and the kami is that's one word, kami, for these gods, but it isn't one type of god. There were earthly gods, spiritual gods, elemental gods. So there's a god of the rock, there's a god of the wind, there's a god of the storms, right? Some of my favorites. And then there's the kind of mythological gods, the creator gods.
Right.
Right? And then there's people who became deified and became gods. So all of these are kami, because everything has kami.
And when you
So
say...
that's why they stopped there, because it's so convoluted. How do you talk about that? For me, kami really talks about those who came before. So it could have been a god, but it's talking about everybody who came before that had some reason to remember them. Can be a kami. I mean, everybody is as death, they're that spirit. It's the spirit of everything.
Okay.
Right? So anything can have kami in it. Everything does have this kami idea in it. It's not really called kami at that time. There's other words, but we'll stick to one word.
Okay, yeah, for simplicity's sake.
Right.
Okay.
So that's why. It isn't just one thing. It's the spirit of everything.
Okay.
Everyone.
Like, I would have this conversation, like, for example, at Starbucks in Japan, and you sip in your cup, and they'll be like, well, even your cup is a kami. And it kind of blows your mind as a Westerner.
It's, if you think of spirit or energy, doesn't everything have energy in it?
Okay.
Right? So again, if we use kami in that broad sense, then yeah, everything.
It means like we need to cherish the cup, or we need to use cup or like a dish very carefully. So it has kind of this dish is not just think. This is made from someone made this dish from the bottom of their heart. So that's why this dish is here. Then you can use it. So please use it carefully. Then please appreciate it in the context of dish. I think that's kind of idea, isn't it?
Is this the kind of thing where all the kami, all the gods are a manifestation of one god, and I think that was an Indian?
Indians later did, some of the Brahmanistic religions, and the Druids did it when they contacted Christianity too.
Right.
They had no problem with there being a one and only God, and everything else being manifestations of it.
Yeah, different manifestations.
And some Hindu sects, as you mentioned, I believe, also have that, where everything's a manifestation of the single force. And in that sense, all these kami are manifestations of the whatever that single force is that.
Under Shintoism.
Right, under Shintoism, back to Shintoism.
Okay.
That that is infused in everything.
Right. Everything is like
Star
a
Wars,
manifestation
like the Force,
of.
right.
Yeah,
So
it's like a force type of thing.
So
yeah.
everything's a manifestation of that.
Right.
And for simplistic sake, we call it, in this case, kami. There are other words. The
But
Japanese may not know.
this person at the top, or person, or whatever force, or whatever, do they think in that way, or
No, because it wouldn't be a singular thing on the top. It is absolutely everything.
totalitarian?
It is everything, not
totality.
right. It is the totality of everything, not
Okay.
just the creation, not just what started it all.
God isn't everywhere. God, so you should be an avatar of God. Then I should be the avatar of God. That's the idea of Japanese people's God notion. So it's totally different from Western people's God.
Okay. It's more of a thing that you should respect rather than an actual spiritual, like an actual thing.
Exactly. So it's not a thing. It has something, mind, or it has kind of heart or warmth on it. So a little bit different.
This heavenly kami, like Amaterasu and Inazuma, and I think one more that I'm forgetting right now, they're probably the closest to like an Abrahamic religion type of deity.
Yes. Amaterasu not so much, because that's the sun god or sun goddess. So
Okay.
that's an elemental kami.
Ah,
But
okay.
the others would be mythological gods of creation that created Japan, created the Japanese people.
Okay.
And it depends on how you read it. They created the world, but they talk specifically about Japan. So to them, probably Japan was the world.
Right. Yeah, for sure, especially at that time.
Right. So that's the way it's written. They don't define whether it's the whole world or Japan so cleanly like we would.
Okay. All right.
But yes, they would be close. I mean, they're creative gods, but they belong to a whole family of gods. So it's not a single god,
Okay. All right.
right? So, but these are the ones who created our world.
Conservative Shintoism, Shinto people might believe in that, like the origin of universe are like Izanagi, and there were like two people, then they got like fight, and the new creation, a new type of human being were born, then it's gonna be spread, then the god is there, and then they kind of created the human or something like that. But like I think 99% of Japanese people believe it's a myth. It's just a kind of story.
Now we're nearing the end of the conversation. We're trying to reconcile all of this stuff. Is Buddha a kami?
No,
No. Really?
not in that sense. I mean, we talk about everything being a kami, but
Right.
in that sense, yes, he's a kami, just like everything is a kami. But he's not a kami. He's a Buddha. He's a man who awakened.
So they do separate these kind of ideas. I mean, usually.
I wouldn't say usually, but in this case, they certainly did.
Okay, I got it. Because it seemed like if...
Usually, it's all mixed, matched, and merged.
Right.
And they did do that with some bodhisattvas, where this kami is the same as this bodhisattva.
Yeah.
So that they matched it that way.
Did you find, I know you grew up as a Buddhist and in a Buddhist environment, but I was wondering, do you find Buddhism to be deeply moving?
Mm-hmm. I went to the Buddhism training, the Mount Hiei, which is the fundamental training spot of Tendai sect. And during Buddhism training, I looked down on the beautiful lake under the mountain, which was really beautiful. And it was like more than I saw the like beautiful nature. It was kind of enlightened point. And then because I thought we can spend money or we can time on anything that we can, but like watching things or listening to birds singing or something like that, I just failed to respect everything.
I think most important part is just to live our lives sincerely, whether we're a Buddhist or a Christian or a Jewish or a Muslim or Hindu or whatever we choose. We know what good behavior is. Let's live like that. Let's help each other as interlinked human beings. Whatever we choose, to really live it sincerely. For almost all of those include things like no harming and no lying. More importantly is living as a human being, a real, sincere, true human being.